The royal flush, the bizarre enema obsession of Europe's aristocracy. You know about the wigs, the perfumes, and the powder butt. What if I told you the most fashionable accessory in 17th and 18th century courts wasn't tea worn on the head, but inserted somewhere far more private? Let's begin with a room draped in gold and velvet, perfumed with lavender and urine, where the morning ritual isn't a prayer, but a purge. Welcome to Versailles. Louis XIV, the self-proclaimed Sun King, wasn't just obsessed with power. He was obsessed with purity from the inside out, and no ritual embodied this obsession more than the enema, or as the French preferred, look. This wasn't a rare procedure. No, it was practically a royal commandment. Louis XIV is estimated to have undergone over 2,000 enemas in his lifetime. Some weeks he had as many as 5 in a single day. His belief that flushing the bowels flushed out evil spirits, melancholy, bad byland perhaps, even betrayal. He was not alone. In the elite circles of European nobility, getting your backside flushed was as common as powdering your face. But it wasn't just a medical treatment, it was a spectacle, a symbol of wealth, hygiene, and status. In short, the more you flushed, the higher you sat, the throne behind the throne. At Versailles, the King's Day began with the ceremonial waking, attended by dozens of nobles, ministers, bishops, generals, all crowding into his bedroom, hoping for a smile, a glance, a nod. But nestled in the bustle, often hidden behind a gilded screen, was the royal clyster bearer. Yes, this was an actual job title. Apothecary en chef du roi. This man bore the instrument of the king's intestinal sanctification. The tool, not crude, but exquisite. Hand-carved ivory nozzles, gold-plated syringes, velvet hoses. The enemas weren't filled with plain water either. No, these were luxury infusions. Rosewater, milk, honey, almond oil, wine, even orange blossom. And the most bizarre part, it was considered fashionable to have one in public. Noble women wore miniature gold clysters as brooches or pendants, signaling their allegiance to the clean gut movement. Some had them painted into their portraits. The Parisian enema salons. Imagine this. A candlelit salon in the Marais district of Paris. 3 ladies recline on fainting couches. Behind each of them stands an attendant, gently preparing a warm syringe. The women sip tea, discuss court gossip, and receive their enemas all in perfect composure. Yes, in 18th century France, thotterie became a social affair. Hosting an enema party was the height of chic. Perfumed, smoke, soft music, velvet screens. It was less doctor's office, more burlesque theatre. Famed mistress Madame de Pompadour was reportedly so obsessed with her intestinal regimen that she insisted on daily enemas before her rendezvous with Louis V. She even commissioned a diamond-studded clyster engraved with her initials. Doctors, of course, encouraged this madness. They warned of stagnant humors, black bile, and colonic melancholy. They claimed enemas cured everything from headaches to hysteria, and the nobility, desperate to escape decay and aging, believed them. Across the channel, the English connection. While France was flushing itself into ecstasy, England was not far behind. At Kensington Palace, Queen Charlotte, wife of King George III, cultivated her own discreet obsession with internal cleansing. On the surface, Charlotte was prim, proper, and pious, but her private letters tell a different tale. She spoke of sanctifying the spirit through purification of the belly, and once wrote to a confidant that to begin the day unflushed is to walk into darkness with clogged vision. Royal physicians agreed. They encouraged her to use infusions of chamomile, rosemary, and honeyed milk. administered every morning by her personal maid, a woman discreetly referred to in palace records as Mistress of the Lower Winds. Enemas became part of royal maternity, too. When Charlotte was pregnant, midwives were ordered to cleanse her bowels to avoid spiritual agitation in the womb. Even on the eve of labor, the procedure was repeated for clarity and divine blessing. Love, scandal, and the squirt behind closed doors. The clyster was more than medicine, it was a tool of intimacy. Whispers spread of noblemen who fell in love with their enema attendants, of duchesses who requested their syringes warmed by body heat. Some claimed certain clyster bearers used the moment of application to whisper sweet nothings or state secrets into their client's ear. One infamous case, the Countess of Roche, who was accused of having romantic congress with her personal clyster boy, a 17-year-old servant trained in gentle plunging technique. When their affair was discovered, she claimed it was the only way I ever felt truly seen. In England, noble ladies employed clyster women, often passed down in aristocratic households for generations. These women knew everything: family secrets, sexual preferences, political alliances, because they were present for the most intimate moments of royal life. Death by enema. As with all obsessions, things eventually went too far. In 1748, a German duke reportedly died mid-enema when his servant accidentally injected boiling water. Another nobleman choked to death from laughter while receiving a wine enema and reading a satirical pamphlet. In France, a craze for tobacco smoke enemas swept through the court. Physicians believed nicotine soothed the nerves and revived drowning victims. Syringes were fitted with bellows to blow smoke directly into the colon. Yes, this is the origin of the phrase blowing smoke up your ass. Even more deranged was the short-lived fad of champagne enemas. They were said to cure fatigue and induce euphoria. Of course, most recipients simply passed out or died of gas embolisms, but fashion, as always, required risk. The decline of the royal flush. By the early 19th century, enemas began to lose their glamour. New medical theories ridiculed them. The church condemned them as vanities of the flesh, and revolutions, both French and industrial, made such indulgences seem grotesque. But the legacy remained. Gilded enema kits sat in royal cabinets like relics of a strange religion. Portraits continued to hint at them delicate. Ivory nozzles nestled among tea sets and gloves, and the idea that clean bowels equaled moral virtue persisted for centuries. The darkly glorious truth. History remembers Versailles for its mirrors, Mozart, and magnificence. But behind those mirrors were secret compartments holding syringes, oils, and tubes. Behind the lace curtains of English palaces were maids with gentle hands and quiet discretion. What we call decadence today was once medicine, ritual, and power. The enema was a throne beneath the throne, a quiet instrument that shaped the behavior, relationships, and obsessions of Europe's elite. So next time you see a painting of a queen in brocade silk, or a duke with a powdered wig, ask yourself, is she smiling because of her jewels, or because her intestines were flushed with rose water this morning?